चैव नरोत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। Reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, inside the states 4, Chapter 6, Creation of the Universe in Form, Text number 4. Prabuddha-karma daivena, prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito ajanayat svabhir, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam, adhipurusam, prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, trayovimsatiko ganah, prerito janayat svabhir, matrabhir adhipurusam. Prabuddha-karma daivena, ajanayat, manifested, svabhih, by his personal, matrabhih, plenary expansion, adhipurusam, the gigantic universal form, visva-rupa. Translation and purport by divine grace is translation. When the 23 principal elements were set in action by the will of the Supreme, the gigantic universal form or the visva-rupa body of the Lord came into existence. Please repeat this translation. When the 23 principal elements were set in action by the will of the Supreme, the gigantic universal form or the visva-rupa body of the Lord came into existence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The virat-rupa or visva-rupa, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, which is very much appreciated by the impersonalist, is not an eternal form of the Lord. It is manifested by the supreme will of the Lord after the ingredients of material creation. Lord Krsna exhibited this virat or visva-rupa to Arjuna just to convince the impersonalist that he, Krishna, is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna exhibited the virat-rupa. It is not that Krishna was exhibited by the virat-rupa. The virat-rupa is not, therefore, an eternal form of the Lord exhibited in this spiritual style. It is a material manifestation of the Lord. The arca-vigraha, or the worshipable deity in the temple, is a similar manifestation of the Lord for the neophytes. But in spite of their material touch, such forms of the Lord as the Virat and Archa are all not different from his eternal form as Lord Krishna. Thus ends the Bhakti-Vinamata. Om Jnana 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 Shalakaya Chakshurumitra Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Kirtani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Maitreya's description of the creation is continuing. In this chapter, he is describing the creation of the universe in the form of God. So this universal form came into existence when, at a certain stage. What that stage? After the ingredients, the 23 principal elements were created. After that, they were combined by the time factor, kala. And they combined, what was generated was the visva-rupa, universal form. What is this universal form that is also exhibited by Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, described in the Bhagavad-gita 11th chapter? Arjuna asked Krishna, can I see the form in which you have entered into this universe? in which you have entered into this universe. Just like if I ask a person, can I see the form in which you have entered into a material body? What is that? The material form. After all, this material form is existing because there is a spirit soul inside. What happens as soon as spirit soul leaves the body? Body no longer remains. Body no longer to maintain. Body no longer has life symptoms. No life, no symptoms of consciousness, nothing. Neither it will be functioning the way it was functioning when the soul was there. Similarly, the whole universe, gigantic universe with all the varieties, the planets, the living beings, mountains, the rivers, the trees, everything. The whole gigantic visva-rupa, whole gigantic universe with all the varieties, is the universal form of the Supreme Lord, because He has entered into the universe. Only then the universe develops. So when He enters, just by His entering, everything happens. He doesn't have to do anything. This is the special thing about the Supreme Lord. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. He has nothing to do. What's the difference? When we make a sankalpa, I want to lift this, I make a sankalpa. Then I have to move my hand and then hold it and exert some force, hold it and then lift it. Correct? So there is a sankalpa and then there is an action and there is something happening by the janayat. So these are all distinct steps in the process of my lifting this object. Whereas for Krishna, simply his sankalpa, his willing, everything happens. How? All the energies are acting according to his will. He has got multifarious energies. Varieties of energies, and those energies are working according to his will. Rupa, his will, his ichha, his desire. And not only he has got his energies, he also expands. So he also expands as Vishnu Tattva, the expansion of the personality. Just like first Krishna expands as Balarama, Balarama expands as Sankarshana, Sankarshana expands as Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodvishaya Vishnu, Garbhodvishaya Vishnu expands as Kshirodvishaya Vishnu, Kshirodvishaya Vishnu expands as Shesha. So all these expansions have got specific functions. Now the expansions are actually giving the spiritual touch of the Supreme to the energies to act. Energies cannot act independent of the controller or the possessor or the lord of energy. So for all the energies that are working, we say the Lord willed and the energies carry out the will. But how can the energies carry out the will? By the touch of the Supreme Lord in the form of His entering into the energy. As far as the spiritual energy is concerned, He is always present in the spiritual energy, in His transcendental form. He is always present in His transcendental form as Balarama, Sankarshana, Narayana, Vasudeva, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, all these forms of the spiritual world have entered into the internal, always present in the eternity, not entered, always present. Krishna is situated in this internal potency. Now, as far as the external energy is concerned, Krishna is not present in the external energy. But when the external energy has to manifest, the illusory covering, illusion. Why this illusion has to be manifested? For those living entities who are not in agreement with the plan of the Lord. The jivas, they are meant to cooperate with the Lord in His transcendental enjoyment. But those who don't want to cooperate by misusing their tiny amount of independence, such living beings have to be put into illusion of becoming a false Lord. So that illusory effect is created by another potency of Krishna or his external energy. So for the external energy to be activated, Krishna enters as Vishnu. Krishna enters as Vishnu. But when Krishna enters as Vishnu, he is not affected by the actions of the external energy. He is unaffected. Because he is always the master, the controller, he is independent, he is aloof, he is always aloof from the external energy. He is independent, he is a controller, he is a master. He cannot get overpowered by the external energy. He cannot get overpowered by any energy. He is always a controller of all energies. So, he always is the master, always is the Lord, eternally the Lord. So that Lord of all energies, he enters into the external energy, and then the external energy begins to be activated. So first thing is the Mahat-tattva. Then after that, the Ahankara. Then the three gunas acting on the Ahankara produce the varieties. 23 principal elements. Now these elements themselves, after they are created, they have to be combined to form the varieties. So the varieties are formed by the combination of these elements under the influence of Kala Shakti. And Kala Shakti is personified by Kali, Durga. So Durga creates by her action of the three gunas, acting on the different elements. Durga creates or combines. But such combination is by the will of the Supreme. It's according to a plan. It's not some random combination, some random combining. No. It is according to a plan. It is according to a certain law. It is according to a certain direction. Now that direction or plan or the specific law by which this combination takes place is the law of karma. The law of karma. By the law of karma, there are different grades of planets. Urdhva loka, Madhyaloka, Adholoka, and in each grade of planet there are different facilities and different living beings are spread throughout the universe in different planets according to their karma. Somebody takes birth in Brahmaloka, somebody takes birth in Maharloka, somebody takes birth in Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Patala-loka. Different living entities are taking birth in different planets and different species, not all the same, different species. And this entire creation of the entire living entities taking their birth in different planets, as also the planets being manifested or produced from the combination of the elements with the varieties. The facilities on heavenly planets are different. The facilities on earth planets are different. The facilities on lower planets are different. So with all these facilities, the planets are created and the divinities are born. All this is described here as the creation of the universal form. What is the universe? The universe consists of all the planets, the living entities, the different facilities. That's what the universal form is. The whole universe. How did this come into existence? When the Lord entered the elements and the elements combined and the variety was formed. Now, please remember that there are devatas, demigods, controllers of the different elements or the different planets or the different senses or the different activities. Everything is controlled by different demigods. Whatever is happening in this material world, whatever exists in this material world is controlled. But the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, has entered into everyone and everything. But as the Devatas also he controls. This is the mystery of the control in this material world. In this spiritual world, the control is direct and simple and straightforward. Krishna is the controller. Oh, finish. Oh, nothing else. In the material world, it's not so simple. Krishna is the controller. No. You search for Krishna as controller. Krishna is alone from this material world. It is nothing to do with this material. But then he has got his expansion, Vishnu. Now where is Vishnu in this material world? Now Vishnu is all over the material world. Everywhere is there. How is he present everywhere? Paramatma. As Paramatma is entered into everything, every atom, every element is heart. Everything material and spiritual is entered in this material world. As Paramatma. But Paramatma does not directly control. He indirectly controls the devas. Just like the air. Air is controlled by Vayudeva. But Vayudeva as a living entity is empowered by whom? By Vishnu. How does Vishnu empower him? In several ways Vishnu empowers him. He is seated in the heart of Vayudeva as Paramatma. When Vayudeva is taking birth, then he has got an empowerment in terms of getting specific ability or skill or using his senses. Not everybody's senses has got the same skill. In the material world itself, human beings, we can see somebody's skill of the hand is very nice, modeling they can do. with clay modeling. Excellent things they produce. Somebody else has got the ability to paint very nicely with a brush. They paint wonders they can paint. Beautiful paintings. All the paintings they paint so nicely. Skill of painting. Somebody can work very nicely with their hands and do cooking. Right? Different abilities. Now, who has given that ability? This at the time of birth, the different abilities are given. Different abilities are given at the time of birth. So, the birth of the living entity with the skill, that is empowerment by Krishna. Empowerment. The knowledge. Knowledge can be understood in two ways. One is the theoretical knowledge which is there in the scriptures or which is there in the Vedic wisdom. Other way of understanding knowledge is the ability to use the intelligence to be able to do something, carry out something. Just like a carpenter, if he is expert or got a skill in converting wood into different products. Now there is an intelligence he uses how to shape the wood, how to make a joint, how to turn the wood, how to make a design. There is an intelligence he is using. That intelligence, use of intelligence for a specific skill is also knowledge. That is another aspect of knowledge. That is why you see sometimes that people don't undergo formal education. They don't undergo formal education. But still they are expert. How is that? Because their intelligence itself is nothing but knowledge. They use their intelligence to do something. They use their intelligence to convert something into something. So that use of intelligence, that is the empowerment by Krishna at the beginning of the birth. That is the empowerment. So that empowerment of the demigods is done when they are born. Then Krishna is also seated in their heart as Paramatma. He gives remembrance, he gives forgetfulness, he gives knowledge, knowledge by way of direction. You see. So he gives the knowledge, remember, as Paramatma. So the demigods are born with certain empowerment, with specific skills, with certain type of senses, different types of senses. Body means different types of senses. Mind means different types of mentality. Intelligence means different types of intelligence in terms of the intelligence being able to paint, do this, do that, something else. Not even controlling. Controlling also requires intelligence. Vayudeva is controlling the wind. Agni-deva is controlling fire. Varuna is controlling the bodies of water. There is control. See this ocean. Continuously waves are coming. But the waves don't cross the high tide line. Never cross the high tide line. There is high tide and low tide. It recedes, but it comes forward. It recedes and low tide. But it never crosses the high tide line. There is control. You see, even though continuously waves are coming, when it comes to the shore, waves energy is finished, over. No more energy to come forward. Till it comes, so much power is there. Have you noticed? You go deeper inside, so much power is there of the wave. But when it comes to the shore, finished. No more power. So some control is there. That control is the empowerment of the demigods. Like Vishnu. So, that creation of the demigods, the creation of the whole universe is a process described in this chapter as creation of the universe. So, here this verse describes that the 23 principal elements were set into action by the will of the Supreme when the Visvarupa came into existence. Happens. So, trying to understand as sequentially how different things happen and the creation takes place. So, it's one perspective, because again, creation is very complex. You cannot understand everything about the creation only from one perspective. You have to see from different perspectives. So in the Bhagavatam itself, different perspectives are presented. So here, Maitreya is describing the perspective of the actions of the Supreme Lord as Vishnu. Specifically, he is describing creation from the perspective of Vishnu. Mahavishnu was the premises. Mahavishnu agitates the material energy, the three modes become activated. Mahavishnu enters into the material energy, because of which material energy is to differentiate into the elements. Mahavishnu enters into the universes which are in the form of shell, the universal shell. He enters into, then only the universal shell begins to develop. As the Lord Krsna, if he does not enter, nothing will happen. So that entering to the universal shell and the universal shell developing is part creation of the universal form. Specifically, his entrance into the universal shell. The universal shell itself, how it is coming? Simply by his breathing. As Mahavishnu is lying on the karma jala and he is inhaling and exhaling. This is his yoga nidra activity, pleasure pastime. Yoga nidra, not nidra like we sleep. And we sleep, we go into ignorance. But when the Lord sleeps on the Karna ocean, another way Prabhupada explains, it's like somebody goes swimming and he's expert swimmer. For some time he can lie on the surface of the water, keep himself afloat. Correct? Just for fun, just for pleasure. He's got the ability. So because he's a tiny living entity, he's got limitation, how long he can float. But Vishnu, if he enters the Karna Jala and he wants to keep himself afloat for his pleasure, so then what is difficulty in understanding this for the pleasure pastimes of the Lord to lie down the Karna? And he is lying down and he is relaxing and he is sleeping. He is sleeping. Now his sleeping is not that he goes into ignorance, therefore yoga nidra. What is that verse in the Brahma Samhita? Yat karananavadale bhajati sma yoga nidra ananta chakadanda sarvamapurvah. When he lies down on the Karna Jala, in yoga nidra, then from his skin holes, roma pupa, the roma is the hair on the skin, and there are pores. Just like the skin pores, the scientists say there is sweat coming out. Correct? Now, the Supreme Lord is Vishnu. From his skin holes, what is coming out? The universes are coming out. Jagannath. Sarvamapurvah. Karananavadale Vismayoga nidra ananta Jagannath. Unlimited universes. Jagannath Sarvamapurvah. Adhara Shakti Avadanya Param Swamurtim. The basis for this entire universe is to be generated of God himself. So the Lord, original Lord Krishna, in his expansion as Mahavishnu, lying down, Vishnu Mahan Sahiryasya. The next verse explains. They say the Nishvasitakala. The universes are created and their duration, they are limited in duration. Their existence is limited only for the breath of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is breathing. So when he is breathing, the universes come out of his keyholes. When he breathes in, everything goes inside. Everything is dissolved and everything goes inside him. Material energy, everything, all go inside him. Mahavishnu's body. So this Sarvachai Vishnu, as Sarvachai Vishnu, he enters into the universe after it comes into existence. So his entrance into the universe is also, again, the same principle. Vishnu means one who enters. One of the meanings of the word Vishnu. So as Mahavishnu, he enters into total material energy so that it differentiates into the elements. As Garbhodh-Vishai Vishnu, he enters into the universal shell after it comes out of the skin also Mahavishnu. Then the universe begins to develop. So that development of the universe is the development of the creation of the universal form. So that universal form is described as coming to existence after the three particular principal elements were set in action by the will of the Spirit. Further description of the universal form is given now, details given. Here Prabhupada Purport is saying that this visva-rupa or the universal form of the Lord is not an eternal form of the Lord in the spiritual sky. It is just manifest in this material world. And it remains only as long as the universe is there. Once the universe is destroyed, again by the will of the Supreme, creation, maintenance, destruction, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Ichha-rupa, according to the will of the Supreme. It is happening. So when it is destroyed, what happens to universal form? Universal form is destroyed. Universe is destroyed. So it is not like the death of the living entity. It is not like the death of the living entity. When we die, we are forced to put the body. We are forced to put the body. So the destruction of the universe is not that Vishnu is forced to leave the universe. No. Vishnu enters the universe, and Vishnu enters means he doesn't have to personally go inside. He doesn't have to personally go inside. His entering is described, entrance and not entering is described in the 3rd verse of the 9th chapter. What is the 3rd verse of the 9th chapter? Mayadatam idam sarvam jagadapyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avasthitam. What is the translation? By me, in my unmanifested form, I enter into this universe. This entire universe is pervaded. He is present everywhere in the universe by his unmanifest form. All beings are in me. Everything is within the Avyaktamurti. But I am not in them. So he is aloof. He is completely aloof. He is not entering, like we are entering this body. He is not entering. Why? We have to enter this body because we have to lord it over. We want to enjoy materially. That is why we have to enter this body. Otherwise, we also don't have to enter this body. We have got our spiritual form. We have got our spiritual senses, we are not on spiritual activities, we are not on spiritual position in relation to Lord spiritual world. But then why we are into this body? Because I want to enjoy materially. Does Krishna have to enjoy materially? Does he have any desire to enjoy materially? No. Vishnu has a desire to enjoy materially? No. Therefore, he doesn't have to enter into matter. So therefore, he says that without his entering matter, matter will have no potency, will not act, material energy will not act. So, only for the sake of the material energy to act is as if he is entering. That means he is activating material energy. Now actually that activation happens by his will. It is not by his actually entering. Because he is always present in his internal potency. In his internal. He is not in the external energy. He is not present in the external energy. So that's what he says. All living beings, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So therefore, the Paramatma feature is actually a reflection of the Supreme Lord in the heart of every living. That's why the analogy of reflection is given. It's like a reflection. It's like the sun is reflected in a pot of water. In one sense, you can say the sun has entered into the pot of water. But the sun has entered and not entered. Now you can say the sun has entered because the pot of water also becomes a source of light. Right? Water also becomes a source of light. The sun has entered. But the sun is actually situated far, far away. The sun is not actually absent in the sky. The sun is there in the sky, separate from the pot of water. So, something like that, you can understand the Lord enters into the heart of everything material, does not enter. Or he enters into everything material and he does not enter. So, his entrance as Vishnu is mystical. That mystical entrance is Pashyame Yoga, the next verse. What is the fourth verse? Pashyame Yoga Mahisha. Fifth verse. Okay. Najavatstani bhutani Pashyame Yoga Mahisha. Bhuta Brunnacha Bhutasto Mahatma Bhuta. What is that? Translation. Yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Because the previous verse says, everything is resting in me, all beings are in me. Next verse immediately contradicts this. That everything that is created does not rest in me. What is the next one? Behold my mystic opulence. This is called the mystic opulence, Yoga Maheshwara. What is that? Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, I am everywhere. Myself is the source of creation. Everything is coming out of him and he has nothing to do with anything. After creation, he is completely aloof from everything. He has nothing to do with it. So, this particular mystery of his creation has to be understood very carefully. That the Lord doesn't have to do anything. Again, the same thing. Natasya karyam karanam chakyate natasya parasya shakti vividaya. His energies act simply by his will. So his energies are acting. And he can choose whether personally he wants to be involved or not. Whether personally he wants to be present or not present according to his will. Arca-vigraha. Another example Prabhupada gives that arca-vigraha is like the virat-rupa. In what sense? The arca-vigraha is shaped from material elements. Combination of material elements, some sculpture or some what the maker has done is arca-vigraha. But after this arca-vigraha is shaped, then the prana pratishtha is done. The Lord is invited to come and reside in this form and accept the darshan. Now our understanding of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta is not that there is one material form and then Vishnu has entered, or Krishna has entered, or Balaram has entered, and Balaram is separate from this form. Oh, Balaram becomes the form. Balaram becomes the form. But Balaram becomes a form does not mean Balaram becomes matter. Becomes that matter. No. Balaram becomes the form means Balaram in that form is present as Balaram to accept our service. Then only there is meaning in decorating that form. Are we decorating one metal statue or doll? Just like mannequin, they decorate in the window, the shopping window. Shops, they have mannequin, right, made of some plaster of Paris. Then a nice actual saree they will wrap around it. Wrap it. Oh, beautiful. Saree is beautiful. Then statue is dressed. So that dressing of the statue that fellow is doing to simply do his sales. He really doesn't think that I'm dressing, decorating very nicely, looks good. He does not bother about that. You know, it's simply some sales gimmick. Here we are doing something like that. Decorating the deity. Are we decorating Balaram? We are dressing Balaram or dressing one statue which looks like Balaram? So this is where the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta says Balaram is present in that form. Exactly the same form. Identical form. But spiritual. So, same way, when the Lord enters the universe as Vishnu in his spiritual form is present. Identical to the form of the universe, but it is not a material form which is taken on the shape of this universe or the shape of the deity. It is not a material form. So consider the deity as a material form, or consider the universal form of the Lord to be material. The form manifested before Arjuna, universal form, considered the material is actually Maharam. It is not the material. So, that is why it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, you cannot see this form unless I give you Dadami te Divya Chakshu. Unless I give you divine vision, you cannot see. So to see this, even arca-vigraha, you can see the material form, because we got the ability with this eyes. But to see the divine form requires divine vision. And that divine vision is possible only by bhakti. Only by bhakti you can see the divine form, you can have divine vision. Therefore, actually see darshan, say darshan, waiting on darshan. So actually taking darshan means developing bhakti and then having darshan. That is why we say you come in front of deity, you pray, you offer obeisances, you offer some upachara, you offer some worship, you perform kirtan. Why all this? And then they see. Having darshan is a spiritual activity. But why all these other things? Because without these things, there is no divine vision. Only when the darshan is accompanied by kirtan, by worship, by spiritual activities, only then your vision becomes spiritualized. At least for the time being, you can spiritualize and see the Lord present in that form. Oh, Balaram is present in that form in which you can see with even other ordinary people can see. It is not a statue which is there, actually Balaram is there, Krishna is there, Gauranga is there. So then we get, what does it do? That awakens our bhakti. Our dormant bhakti is everything. That is the arca-vigraha. Similarly, the universal form which is manifest to Arjuna, what do ordinary people see as the universe? This is the universe. So many varieties. Right? But Arjuna is not seeing the universal form as universe. No. He's seeing the Lord is present within the universe. He's seeing Krishna. And therefore, his attitude towards Krishna also changes. He becomes completely fearful. And then he begins to offer prayers. He offers obeisances. He says, I addressed you as Yadava, Keshava, Madhava. I did so much offense. I thought you were an ordinary person. I thought you were my friend. See, the attitude changes. Because he is recognizing the universal form as not the universe. My Lord. Like what Prabhupada says in the Purport here, it is not that virat-rupa was exhibiting Krishna. Krishna was exhibiting his virat-rupa. Krishna showed it to Arjuna. So virat-rupa is a form of Krishna. But the material form of virat-rupa is not Krishna. Is not Krishna's form. The spiritual form, which was exhibited to Arjuna. The spiritual form which is exhibited to Arjuna, the virat-rupa, that form is the form in which he entered. In that form, if you consider, it is not like the living entity entering into the material body. It's not a living entity. Actually, Prabhupada, another place he says, even the living entity doesn't enter the material body. What is he doing? By the empowerment of the Paramatma, he is identifying with the body and this body, ahankara. That is the empowerment, ahankara, ego. The Lord empowers you and this body. Actually, you are not the body. Still, how you can identify yourself as the body? Because of ahankara. That ahankara is the empowerment by the Supreme Lord at the beginning of the birth. At the beginning of birth. That empowerment also is due to the mentality you have developed. You want to enjoy like a man. Therefore, to identify the man's body. That mentality also is according to the desire to enjoy like a man. Why man mentality? You see, mind also is shaped. Subtle body we say. Subtle body like a man. What is the subtle body like a man? Is the mentality to enjoy like a man. Enjoyment is these senses. I have to use these senses for enjoyment. Basically the mind is employing the senses for enjoyment. So the senses are man-like senses. The mentality is man-like mentality. The desire to enjoy, which is the root cause, that is the basis of the ego, policy of ahankara. That is the desire to enjoy. And that is developed in association with the three gunas. So that's how the laws of karma, according to the laws of karma, the creation takes place. That's what I'm going to describe in the next remainder of the chapter, the creation of universal form. The Lord has entered into the universe and then he manifests the universal form, which all the details will be explained of the universal form in the next remainder of the verses. Srimad Bhagavatam.